This is Open to Hope Radio, featuring Dr. Gloria Horsley and her daughter, Dr. Heidi Horsley, coming to you on behalf of the Open to Hope Foundation, dedicated to those who are looking for hope after loss. Now, here's Dr. Gloria.
Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my co-host, Dr. Heidi Horsley. Today we're going to talk about suicide support, and we've got a great guest today, don't we, Heidi?
Yes, I was just on his website. For those of you listening, please go on it. His name is Carl David, and if you actually Google that name, and you'll find his website. The reason I was so interested in him is because this guy is a Renaissance man, and I know he's listening right now, but, you know, he owns an art gallery. He knows all about art, and it's been in his family for 4 generations. He plays the guitar. He plays the keyboards. He has music that he's written and composed on there. I mean, and he has survived a suicide loss, and that's why we're having him on today. And the common theme, Mom, is that Carl is an extremely positive person despite all the adversity he's had. And like I said, he's a third descendant of a 4-generation art dealer family specializing in American and European 19th and 20th century art. He's also the author of Bader Field, How My Family Survived Suicide, the story of how his family lived through his brother's shocking death by suicide when Carl was just 16 years old. And his father also died around that same time, so he lost his father and his brother, and we will be talking to him about how he survived this and how he has gone on to thrive in his life. And it is his hope that others will benefit from his story. Welcome to the show, Carl.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you. I really appreciate being on your show.
It's so great to have you on, Carl. I really enjoyed reading your book and hearing about your dad and your family, and what a wonderful family history, and what a tragedy. I wondered how having your brother kill himself, Bruce, right?
Oh, it was really bizarre. I mean, just the fact that the loss was devastating and shocking because there was no foretelling of it. And, you know, it took my father a long time to be able to get back into the gallery. He was the one who found them, and it just leaves such a scar, you know. It just, and ultimately that's what killed him. He lived for 8 years afterward, but I can't even imagine losing a child. It's the worst thing in you know, conceivable event. I mean, it's just horrible.
And how old was your brother when he died, Carl?
He was 22. I was 16.
He was 22 and you were 16, and your dad died how long after that? 8 years, you said?
8 years, yeah. He was only 58 when he died. I have another brother, an eldest brother, and, you know, the two of us kind of pulled together and realized that we had to be there for our parents, and our parents realized that they had to be here for us. And, you know, one day they even said, you know, we've got to get back to life. We've got 2 other children.
How long do you think that was after your brother died that they had that turning point?
Months. You know, I mean, the scar never goes away. You don't ever get over it. You can only learn to live with it as best you can. And, you know, with professional help and with the closeness of our family and friends, you know, we survived it as best we could. Because life it goes on, you know, with you or without you. Back in the 1960s when this happened, it happened in 1965, the stigma of shame that was attached to it was something we had to live with, and nobody talked about it. I mean, you know, you could hear the whispers. I could hear them in the hallways of the school when I finally went back to school after a couple of weeks. Like, you know, he's the one whose brother killed himself. You can see the look in the eyes. You know, whether I imagined it or whether it was real. To me, it was real, and you know that was something we had to learn to live with as well. And you just kind of didn't talk about it until somebody you knew had gone through the same kind of experience, or just until you could not contain it anymore.
Has music helped you to deal with it?
It has, and my writing has as well. I realized that I had this skill to write. I just had to have something to write about.
And you're willing to touch the passion.
Yeah. Yeah, but my first book was Collecting and Care of Fine Art because I was so upset about the hype in the art market and people getting an uneven playing field. I said to my brother one day, you know what, I'm going to write a book. And then I started to write this other book, you know, How My Family Survived Suicide, which I initially wrote as homage to my dad, so my kids who weren't born yet would know the greatness of this guy. He was my hero. You know, it took me a lot of decades to write the book because I had to go back and relive all this pain. He was a Renaissance man. He really was. He was incredible. music, language, arts, passions for everything he did.
And what are the hardest things?
Well, the hardest thing is just to endure the blackness that falls over you and finding a way to claw your way back up to light. We pulled together as a family. We could have pulled each other apart. We didn't. We stayed together. We had professional help, professional with psychiatric help, which is something I attribute to our survival. I don't know how anybody can do it without it. This is just too big a beast to handle on one's own strength because you can't. It's just too much. It's something that a lot of people go through. 1 million people a year take their life worldwide, and the number's growing, and it's not the 60s anymore. People talk about it, and the only way to combat this act is to expose it, and let people know that there's help out there for them, that whatever seems to be the end of the world, it's not. Tomorrow's going to be a better day, or it's not tomorrow than the day after. There's help out there for people. They're loved, and they're not alone, and that's important for them to know.
One thing I want to catch with you, Carl, is this. I think it's important for people out there to know that it's not too late to get help. You had it happen to you when you were 14. Mm-hmm. You went through college still not dealing with it, right? And then you imploded or in college.
Right.
I think that's an important key because it's never too late, is it?
No, it is not too late. And if you don't get the help, it will eat you up from the inside out. It'll create a warp in your personality, and your life will never be successful carrying this thing inside you. I think it's a combination of things. I think initially it's anger, then there's this terrible sadness, and then there's this wonder. Could you have done something? Should you have seen something? Did you miss something along the way? And, so there's an aspect of feeling responsible. And you've got to deal with all those things because you really don't own any of them. These are just emotions that you have to learn to deal with and just let them pass through you.
Carl, what are the few things? I mean, you're such a positive person, and you found hope again. And for those out there that are struggling with a loss that has kicked them to the ground and they do not know how they're going to survive or if they want to, what kind of things would you tell them at this point in order to start getting on the track of where you are today? What can they do?
Well, I can tell you that we do survive, but we can't do it alone. There's help out there, and go talk to somebody. Don't keep this festering inside yourself. I mean, find a bartender, a priest, a rabbi, anybody, a doctor. Call 911 if you're feeling despondent and you feel like you're not going to be able to get through this. So just talk to somebody. There are so many people out there today who are familiar with this and who will listen gladly. Excuse me. But just, share it. Don't keep these feelings inside. And happiness is there for all of us. It's a gift. And every day you get up is a gift. So it's to be enjoyed and maximized. And I think what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm one of these people that knows that life goes on the other side. I mean, spirit does not die. You can't kill spirit. You can't. So it doesn't end here. But the physical part might, but not the emotional or the spirit.
Well, Carl, thank you so much. I want to end the show on that, Heidi, because that is such an amazing thought, isn't it?
Absolutely. I love Carl's attitude and the way that he looks at life. And, the reality is sometimes we cannot control what happens around us. The only thing we have control over is the way that we respond and our attitude. And Carl is such a positive person despite his adversity. Thank you so much, Carl.
You've been listening to Open to Hope Radio, hosted by Drs. Gloria and Heidi Horsley. Like today's edition, all of our past programs are available on demand at opentohope.com, along with helpful articles, videos, resources, and links to help get you through the toughest time of your life. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter and sign up for our monthly newsletter. Again, that's opentohope.com. Check it out today. Remember, others have been where you are. They made it through, and you can too, as long as you're open to hope.